What if you've already lived this life? Pause for a moment and consider it, not as a fleeting thought, not as a metaphor, but as a real, tangible possibility. The notion seems absurd at first, yet almost every one of us has felt the faint, inexplicable tug of memory, an uncanny sensation of having been somewhere before, having seen something before, or having known something before ever encountering it. A stranger's face might strike a familiar chord. A melody might awaken a surge of déjà vu. A fleeting detail might linger in your mind, as if it had been encountered in another lifetime. These are not just idle coincidences. For centuries, humanity has been haunted, inspired, and mystified by these subtle echoes of what some insist are past lives. The phenomenon of déjà vu, experienced by nearly 70% of people at least once, is often brushed off as a quirk of the brain, a trick of memory, a glitch in perception. Neuroscientists suggest it may be the misfiring of temporal lobe signals, a delay in processing that creates the illusion of repetition. And yet, these scientific explanations, while compelling, do not capture the raw emotional depth that accompanies the experience. Imagine walking down a street you have never seen, yet feeling an inexplicable warmth, a certainty that this exact moment has already unfolded. It is in this tension, between what science can explain and what the heart insists upon, that the question arises. Could these moments of déjà vu be glimpses of a life you've already lived? Across cultures, generations, and continents, stories of inexplicable intuition, dreams of places never visited, and sudden recollections of historical events persist. A child in India recounts detailed memories of a city she has never seen, identifying streets, buildings, and faces later verified as real. A man in Turkey dreams of a family he has never known, only to recognize them years later in an abandoned photograph. These cases are documented in journals, verified through painstaking research, and yet, even as evidence accumulates, skeptics remain unconvinced. Some dismiss these experiences as coincidence, some as imagination, others as elaborate confabulations of memory. And yet, the emotional resonance, the uncanny specificity, defies casual dismissal. The mind seeks patterns, but it is often unable to account for the unexplainable, the deep resonance of recognition that seems to exist outside ordinary time. What is most intriguing is the universality of these experiences. Across millennia, human civilizations have contemplated the possibility of cyclical existence. Ancient Egyptians etched tales of reincarnation into their hieroglyphs, while the Hindus and Buddhists describe samsara, the endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, as a fundamental law of existence. The Greeks pondered the concept of eternal recurrence, where souls traverse an infinite loop of lives, each experience echoing into the next. And here, in the juxtaposition of ancient wisdom and modern neuroscience, a tension emerges, a contrast between evidence-based rationality and the haunting suggestion that life may not be a linear journey, but a cyclical odyssey, with our consciousness threading through innumerable existences. Consider, for a moment, your own life. The sensations that cannot be accounted for, the faces that feel familiar without reason, the fleeting insights that arrive fully formed and yet inexplicably foreign. Could these fragments be residual traces of a previous existence? Could the very structure of consciousness carry imprints beyond the confines of a single lifetime? Science, for all its rigor, remains silent on these questions. The tools of measurement cannot quantify experience in the liminal spaces between thought and memory, between intuition and revelation. And yet, human experience continually points to these anomalies, these gaps in our understanding, inviting speculation, wonder, and sometimes doubt. There are those who have sought to bridge these realms, the scientific and the speculative, the empirical and the mystical. Psychologists have conducted studies on children who claim to remember past lives, meticulously verifying details against historical records. In some cases, these memories are astonishingly accurate, including intimate knowledge of family dynamics, social hierarchies, and even tragic deaths. Quantum theorists have begun to entertain the possibility that consciousness may not be bound by linear time, suggesting that the mind may navigate realities we are only beginning to comprehend. Philosophers and spiritual teachers, meanwhile, have long proposed that the self is not a single, isolated entity, but a continuum of consciousness, traversing multiple experiences, learning, evolving, and returning in cycles both subtle and profound. And yet, even as we explore these possibilities, the tension remains. Evidence and speculation, doubt and belief, the rational and the mysterious. These polarities define our engagement with the idea of past lives. To embrace the notion fully is to confront uncertainty, to recognize that our understanding of reality may be incomplete, that the boundaries we accept as absolute birth, death, memory, identity might be far more permeable than we imagine. This tension is where the cinematic essence of our story emerges. A collision of the known and the unknown, a dance between the measurable and the ineffable, a narrative that teases the mind while stirring the imagination. In exploring these mysteries, we are not merely chasing curiosity. We are confronting the profound question of identity. What if life is not singular, but iterative? What if your choices, triumphs, and failures are echoes, reverberations from lives already lived? The implications are staggering. Every encounter becomes laden with potential significance. Every moment a thread, an intricate tapestry that transcends the apparent boundaries of time. Our relationships, fears, joys, and regrets may carry resonance far beyond what we perceive, hinting at continuity, pattern, and perhaps purpose across lifetimes. This exploration also invites a paradoxical humility. As humans, we are conditioned to seek closure, clarity, and certainty. Yet, the phenomena we are encountering, déjà vu, past life memories, intuition that defies explanation, resist easy categorization. They demand that we acknowledge the limits of our knowledge, that we confront the vast, mysterious architecture of consciousness with openness and curiosity. In this confrontation, we encounter a unique thrill, a cinematic tension that propels our inquiry forward, the simultaneous attraction and fear of discovering that the world and ourselves is far more mysterious than we have been taught to believe. And so, as we embark on this journey, we are invited to leave behind the linear constraints of time, to step into the liminal spaces where memory, consciousness, and existence may intertwine. From the ordinary streets we walk to the extraordinary glimpses of other lives. The question remains, what if this life is not the first you have lived? In the tension between what we know and what we suspect, between science and speculation, doubt and belief, we find the beginning of a story that is as much about discovery as it is about wonder. This story is not merely told, it is experienced. In the subtle flutter of recognition, in the quiet tremor of intuition, in the haunting suggestion that life may be far grander, far deeper, and far more cyclical than we have ever imagined. As we move forward, we will explore not only the neurological and quantum frameworks that attempt to explain these phenomena, but also the ancient philosophies, case studies, and speculative horizons that illuminate the mysteries of consciousness. Each step of the journey challenges perception, evokes awe, and expands the boundaries of what we consider possible. From the flickering shadows of memory to the shimmering possibilities of multiple realities, we are about to traverse a path where science and wonder converge, where the ordinary and extraordinary collide, and where the echoes of your past life may resonate with profound clarity. In the next section, we will delve deeper into the architecture of the mind itself, how memory is formed, how intuition arises, and how the brain may harbor secrets that science is only beginning to uncover. Here, the ordinary understanding of reality begins to fray, and the extraordinary possibilities of cyclical existence start to emerge with greater clarity. As we enter the labyrinth of perception, cognition, and consciousness, the boundary between evidence and mystery begins to blur, preparing the stage for a journey that is as intellectually rigorous as it is profoundly cinematic. The human brain is often described as the most complex object in the known universe, a labyrinth of neurons, synapses, and electrical impulses capable of generating thought, emotion, and perception. Within this vast network lies the machinery of memory, the delicate architecture that shapes our experience of reality. Memory is not a static record, a simple tape of events. It is a dynamic reconstruction, constantly being rewritten, reinterpreted, and reshaped by the mind. It is here, in this interplay of neurons and cognition, that the ordinary and the extraordinary begin to blur. What we remember, what we think we have experienced, and what we feel we know can all be manipulated by mechanisms we barely understand. Yet these mechanisms, for all their sophistication, may hold glimpses of something far more mysterious, perhaps even traces of lives we have lived before. Déjà vu, the sensation of having already lived a moment, is one of the most studied yet least understood phenomena in neuroscience. Research indicates that déjà vu occurs when the brain's memory circuits misfire, creating a temporal overlap between the present moment and stored information. The temporal lobe, particularly the hippocampus, is central to this process, orchestrating the formation, retrieval, and contextualization of memories. During a fleeting moment of déjà vu, the brain may falsely recognize a situation, giving rise to the eerie familiarity that has captivated philosophers, scientists, and mystics alike. While this explanation is elegant, it is incomplete. The emotional intensity of déjà vu, the precision of recalled details, and the uncanny sense of recognition often exceed what simple neural misfiring can account for. Beyond déjà vu, memory itself is a fluid, mutable entity. Neuroscientists describe it as a reconstructive process, where each recollection is a reenactment influenced by current emotions, beliefs, and context. Unlike a video recording, memory is interpretative, and yet, within this interpretative process, strange anomalies emerge. People occasionally recall events they could not have experienced, details verified later against historical facts, suggesting the existence of knowledge that transcends ordinary temporal boundaries. Is the brain merely a highly sophisticated organ, misattributing fragments of information? Or could it be a conduit for something deeper, an interface with a broader consciousness, an echo of prior existence? Here, science meets speculation, and the boundaries between doubt and belief begin to shift. Cognitive psychologists have long noted the brain's propensity to generate false memories, creating vivid experiences that never occurred. Experiments with suggestion, hypnosis, and guided imagery demonstrate how easily memory can be manipulated. Yet, within this landscape of malleable cognition, there exist cases that defy conventional explanation. Children recount vivid memories of historical lives, complete with names, locations, and circumstances they could not have learned through ordinary means. These instances, meticulously verified by researchers, sit uneasily alongside established neuroscience, challenging the assumption that memory is purely a product of neural activity and learned experience. Could the architecture of the brain allow access to information beyond the immediately tangible, repository of consciousness that extends beyond the confines of a single lifetime? Time, as perceived by the brain, is equally enigmatic. Neuroscientists describe a subjective timeline, a mental construction that organizes events into past, present, and future. The prefrontal cortex, in concert with the hippocampus, orchestrates this temporal narrative, allowing humans to anticipate, plan, and reflect. Yet even within this well-ordered system, glitches occur. Moments of intense déjà vu, precognitive dreams, or sudden insights reveal that the brain's perception of time is not always linear. The mind can experience temporal overlaps, subtle shifts, and discontinuities that make the ordinary march of seconds feel strangely elastic. In these gaps, speculation arises. If the mind can perceive events out of sequence, could it also access experiences from prior existences, weaving together fragments of memory that science struggles to explain? The subconscious, a vast and largely uncharted domain, further complicates our understanding. It is here that intuition, instinct, and inexplicable knowledge emerge. Studies in neuroscience demonstrate that the subconscious mind processes vast amounts of information outside conscious awareness, guiding decisions, shaping perceptions, and even predicting outcomes. Some theorists propose that these subconscious processes might tap into a continuity of consciousness, drawing from experiences not limited to the present lifetime. While mainstream science remains cautious, this hypothesis introduces an electrifying possibility: the brain as a receptor, a vessel that not only interprets the material world, but also resonates with non-linear streams of experience beyond conventional time. Consider the phenomenon of cryptomnesia, where an individual recalls a memory, but misattributes it to their own original thought. It is a reminder of the brain's complexity and its capacity for self-deception. Yet, in this very capacity lies a tantalizing hint. If memories can resurface with uncanny accuracy, could some recollections originate from a deeper, more enigmatic source? Is it possible that the brain occasionally retrieves fragments from a consciousness that extends beyond the self, beyond the immediate confines of biology, and perhaps even beyond a single lifetime? The implications challenge not only neuroscience, but the very foundations of identity and existence. Experimental research in memory anomalies adds another layer of intrigue. Psychologists have documented cases of past life recall under controlled conditions, particularly in young children, who demonstrate knowledge impossible to acquire through ordinary means. In one study, children spontaneously recounted names, locations, and events later confirmed through independent verification. Skeptics argue coincidence, selective reporting, or cultural influence. Yet the precision and consistency in some cases demand a closer look. These findings do not provide definitive proof of reincarnation, but they do highlight the limitations of our current scientific models, suggesting that the architecture of consciousness may be far more intricate than conventional neuroscience accounts for. The contrast between rigorous empirical study and speculative interpretation is central to this exploration. On one side, we have the neural explanations, misfiring circuits, memory reconstruction, subconscious pattern recognition. On the other, we have the extraordinary phenomena, detailed past life recollections, precognitive intuition, and moments of inexplicable familiarity. Neither realm can entirely explain the other, yet the tension between them creates fertile ground for inquiry, wonder, and cinematic storytelling. It is within this tension that our curiosity is most deeply engaged, where science invites scrutiny and speculation invites imagination. Even the brain's architecture hints at potential mechanisms for continuity. The hippocampus, responsible for memory consolidation, demonstrates remarkable plasticity, allowing memories to be restructured, reinforced, and recalled across decades. The neural networks that support recognition, pattern formation, and associative learning operate at scales and speeds that defy ordinary comprehension. Quantum neuroscience, a speculative field on the fringes of mainstream study, suggests that microtubules within neurons might function as quantum processors, providing a potential interface between consciousness and the fabric of reality itself. If consciousness is more than an emergent property of neurons, then perhaps the anomalies we witness, déjà vu, intuition, Past life memories are not errors but echoes of a deeper, more expansive reality. Our perception of the world, filtered through these neural mechanisms, becomes both our greatest tool and our greatest limitation. The brain constructs coherent narratives from incomplete data, often filling gaps with inference, imagination, or intuition. Yet occasionally, these mechanisms yield moments of profound clarity, where a fleeting memory or an intense sense of familiarity transcends explanation. Could such moments be glimpses of a reality where time is not linear, where consciousness is not bound by a single lifetime, where memory is a bridge rather than a boundary? These questions push the limits of both science and philosophy, opening a doorway to possibilities that are as exhilarating as they are unsettling as we navigate the terrain of memory, brain function, and perception. We begin to see a pattern emerging. The ordinary and the extraordinary coexist, intertwined within the same neural circuitry. Moments of déjà vu, cryptic recollections, and intuitive insights are not anomalies to be dismissed, but signal subtle invitations to explore the boundaries of reality. They remind us that our understanding of consciousness is incomplete, that the mind may hold secrets that extend beyond biology, beyond linear time, and perhaps even beyond a single human existence. From this vantage point, science and speculation are not adversaries, but complementary lenses. Neuroscience provides the map of mechanisms, the understanding of structures, and the evidence of neural activity. Speculation provides the compass, guiding us toward questions that defy measurement, toward experiences that transcend observation, toward a narrative in which consciousness may stretch across lifetimes. Together, they frame a landscape that is at once intellectual, emotional, and cinematic, a landscape we are only beginning to traverse as this journey continues. We will transition from the inner workings of the brain to the outer reaches of possibility, from neural circuitry to quantum frameworks, from observable phenomena to the cosmic mysteries that may underlie consciousness itself. The questions raised here about memory, perception, and the potential for experience beyond a single lifetime prepare us to explore the intersections of physics, consciousness, and existence. In the next section, we will venture into the realm of quantum physics, examining how the peculiarities of reality at the smallest scales may mirror the mysteries of consciousness at the largest scales, hinting at a universe where past, present, and perhaps even multiple lifetimes coexist in a delicate, enigmatic dance at the subatomic scale. The universe behaves in ways that defy intuition. Particles exist in multiple states simultaneously, telegraph information instantaneously across unimaginable distances, and collapse into reality only when observed. This is the strange and wondrous world of quantum mechanics, a domain where certainty dissolves into probability, and the ordinary rules of space and time no longer apply. In this microscopic theater, the boundaries between what is and what could be blur, inviting questions that reverberate far beyond the laboratory. Could these principles, abstract though they may seem, shed light on the mysteries of consciousness, memory, and perhaps even the echoes of lives we think we have already lived? Quantum superposition, the idea that a particle can exist in multiple states at once until measured, challenges the very notion of singular reality. It is as if the universe itself refuses to commit, holding infinite possibilities in tension until the act of observation crystallizes one path. If consciousness interacts with reality in a similar way, could it navigate through a spectrum of potential lives, experiences, and choices? Could the fleeting sense of déjà vu be a glimpse into one of these alternate pathways, a faint resonance with a reality that exists alongside our own? The parallels are as compelling as they are unsettling, bridging the rigor of physics with the mystery of subjective experience. Entanglement adds another layer of enigma. When two particles become entangled, their properties remain linked no matter the distance separating them. A change in one instantaneously affects the other, suggesting a level of connectivity that transcends conventional space-time. For consciousness, entanglement hints at the possibility that minds may be interconnected, not merely through biology or culture, but through a deeper underlying quantum fabric. Could our awareness, in some subtle way, be entangled with experiences across multiple dimensions, past lives, or parallel realities? The scientific evidence is precise, measurable, and astonishing. Yet its philosophical implications stretch into realms that words struggle to contain. The many worlds. Interpretation takes this further, proposing that every quantum decision spawns a branching universe, each as real as the one we inhabit. Every choice, every random fluctuation, every event generates a multitude of realities, parallel yet separate, existing simultaneously. In this framework, the idea of multiple lifetimes is no longer purely metaphysical speculation. It becomes a conceivable, scientifically plausible scenario. If consciousness is not bound to a single trajectory, could our awareness shift, even momentarily, into one of these countless parallel streams? Could moments of intuition, precognition, or inexplicable familiarity be the mind's fleeting alignment with an alternate self, a version of us moving along a different thread of existence? Time loops, another concept born from theoretical physics, suggest that the universe may not be strictly linear. In some models, the past, present, and future are interwoven in complex geometries, allowing for recurrence and cyclical patterns. Within such a framework, the conventional notion of cause and effect becomes fluid, and the mind's experience of memory and recognition may extend beyond a single lifetime. These ideas, while speculative, resonate with ancient philosophical concepts of cyclical existence and reincarnation, creating a striking convergence between the outer reaches of physics and the inner mysteries of consciousness. It is here, at the intersection of neuroscience and quantum speculation, that the narrative deepens. The brain, with its capacity for memory, pattern recognition, and perception of time, may be more than a biological processor. It could be a receiver attuned to the manifold possibilities of reality. Moments of déjà vu, intuitive insight, or unexplainable recognition may represent fleeting glimpses into the vast web of quantum possibilities, where multiple versions of self coexist, diverge, and intersect. Science provides the mechanisms, speculation provides the meaning, and together they frame a landscape where existence is simultaneously singular and manifold. Experiments in quantum physics offer glimpses of this strange reality. Schrodinger's cat, the famous thought experiment, illustrates how quantum superposition can produce outcomes that seem impossible in classical terms. Until observed, the cat is both alive and dead, a metaphorical echo of the mind's potential to exist in multiple states simultaneously. In parallel, consciousness may experience a spectrum of potential realities, occasionally brushing against experiences that belong to alternate threads of existence. The overlap between observation, measurement, and reality mirrors the delicate interplay between mind and world, suggesting that the mysteries of the cosmos may be reflected within the architecture of our own perception. Quantum tunneling, a phenomenon where particles pass through barriers they seemingly should not, further underscores the universe's defiance of linearity and limitation. If particles can traverse boundaries in ways classical physics deems impossible, might consciousness also navigate boundaries beyond the obvious barriers of time, memory, and identity? Could our sense of having lived before, of recognizing events that lie outside ordinary experience, be analogous to quantum tunneling, a subtle, fleeting passage into realms usually inaccessible to ordinary perception? The metaphor is tantalizing, bridging rigorous physics with philosophical wonder in ways that compel the imagination to explore. Entanglement, superposition, and multiverse theory collectively suggest a cosmos far more intricate and interwoven than our ordinary perception allows. Here, the distinction between reality and possibility becomes porous, and the mind itself may be a node within this network of infinite potential. If consciousness is capable of resonance with multiple realities, even momentarily, the implications are profound. Intuition may not be mere coincidence, memory may not be strictly linear, and existence may be far more layered than any single lifetime can convey. The echoes of the past, the fleeting sense of familiarity, and the inexplicable insights we experience may all be signals of a deeper structure, a quantum tapestry, in which we are simultaneously participants and observers. This perspective reframes the ordinary brain as an extraordinary interface, a bridge between the known and the unknown. Neuroscience explains the mechanisms, the hippocampus, the prefrontal cortex, the neural networks, but quantum physics opens the door to possibilities that transcend material limitations. In this context, every déjà vu, every sudden recollection, every intuitive leap becomes a clue, a hint of consciousness interacting with a reality that is richer, more complex, and more mysterious than our everyday experience can reveal. Science provides the map. Speculation provides the compass. Together, they illuminate a frontier where observation, experience, and reality intersect in dazzling, sometimes unsettling ways. Philosophical implications are equally compelling. If consciousness is not confined to a single reality, then identity, choice, and destiny acquire new dimensions. Our lives may be interwoven with countless alternate selves, each navigating paths we have not taken, each experiencing realities that are both alien and intimately familiar. Memory, intuition, and recognition may be threads connecting these realities, subtle reminders that existence is not linear, singular, or absolute. The contrast between the empirical rigor of physics and the expansive wonder of speculation mirrors the contrast within human experience itself. The desire to know, the need to understand, and the persistent recognition that some truths may lie beyond comprehension. Even as quantum physics provides these tantalizing frameworks, the phenomena of consciousness remain elusive. Measurement, prediction, and analysis encounter limits when applied to subjective experience. The mind may access realities in ways that resist quantification, bridging science and speculation, evidence and mystery. The interplay of observation and possibility becomes a metaphor for the journey of understanding itself. Every discovery opens new questions, every explanation reveals new enigmas, and every glimpse into the architecture of reality invites wonder, humility, and awe. The cinematic implications of this intersection are profound. Imagine a world where multiple realities shimmer alongside our own, where consciousness drifts momentarily into parallel existences, where intuition and recognition are the faint ripples of lives unfolding elsewhere. The narrative tension between the measurable and the speculative creates a cinematic experience that is intellectually compelling, emotionally resonant, and existentially provocative. Science provides credibility. Speculation provides the grandeur. Together, they shape a story that is at once rigorous, mysterious, and awe-inspiring. As we transition from the quantum scale to the human scale, the connection between physics and consciousness becomes increasingly relevant. The anomalies of memory and perception explored in the previous section now gain a new dimension. They may not merely be glitches of neural circuitry. They may be interactions with the underlying fabric of reality, where time is malleable, consciousness is expansive, and existence is multifaceted. The scientific principles of quantum mechanics, superposition, entanglement, multiverse theory, and time loops provide a framework for understanding how the extraordinary experiences of the mind might resonate with the cosmos itself. Ultimately, quantum physics invites us to reconsider the boundaries of possibility. It challenges the assumption that reality is singular and linear, suggesting instead a universe of infinite branching, interconnected potentialities. Within this framework, consciousness may navigate multiple realities, subtly accessing experiences that transcend a single lifetime. The mind, memory, and perception are no longer confined to the material world alone. They are threads within a vast, interwoven tapestry of existence. The mysteries of the brain and the paradoxes of quantum mechanics converge, hinting at a reality where past, present, and alternate selves coexist, momentarily overlapping in the rich, luminous field of consciousness thought. As this section closes, the stage is set for exploring human history and ancient philosophical perspectives on cyclical existence. The insights of neuroscience and quantum physics provide the tools for understanding possibility, but it is in the narratives, myths, and wisdom of ancient civilizations that these ideas take shape in human experience. From the microcosm of neurons to the macrocosm of the multiverse, the journey moves outward, bridging the inner and outer worlds, the measurable and the speculative, the scientific and the philosophical. In the next section, we will examine how ancient civilizations conceptualize time, memory, and the self, revealing patterns of thought that resonate across millennia and continue to illuminate our understanding of existence, consciousness, and perhaps the echoes of lives already lived. Long before modern neuroscience or quantum physics, humanity grappled with the mysteries of existence, memory, and consciousness. Across the globe, ancient civilizations developed rich philosophical frameworks to understand life, death, and what lies beyond. Central to many of these systems is the concept of cyclical time, a vision of existence not as a linear progression from birth to death, but as an endless cycle of creation, dissolution, and rebirth. In Hindu philosophy, this cycle is known as samsara, the eternal rotation of life and consciousness. Souls traverse countless lives, gathering experiences, learning lessons, and refining awareness, each incarnation echoing into the next. Buddhist teachings similarly embrace the notion of reincarnation, emphasizing the continuity of consciousness and the impermanence of the physical body. Life is not a singular narrative, but a series of interconnected events, where the actions of the present ripple forward, shaping future existences. Karma functions as both moral and experiential law, reinforcing the idea that consciousness is cumulative. Here, ancient wisdom parallels modern questions of memory and perception. If consciousness persists beyond a single lifetime, could the echoes we experience, déjà vu, intuition, or inexplicable familiarity, be the residue of past existences, subtly influencing our current lives? The philosophical imagination of millennia anticipates what science is only beginning to explore. The Egyptians, too, approached the question of cyclical existence through a sophisticated lens. Their myths describe the soul's journey beyond death, navigating trials and judgments, ultimately returning to the earthly plane or ascending to higher states of consciousness. Rituals, funerary texts, and symbolic art reveal a civilization intensely attuned to the continuity of identity, memory, and spiritual essence. The Book of the Dead contains detailed instructions for the soul's journey, emphasizing that life is part of an unbroken continuum. While modern skeptics might dismiss these accounts as myth or superstition, the symbolic sophistication suggests an intuitive understanding of consciousness as something that transcends physical boundaries. The Egyptians recognized patterns in life and death, understanding that existence might not be confined to a single experience, but rather an ongoing rhythm, a cosmic loop where learning and awareness accumulate over time. Across the Atlantic, the Mayans also embraced a cyclical conception of time. Their sophisticated calendars and cosmology were not merely practical tools for agriculture or astronomy. They encoded a worldview in which history repeats in cycles, where civilizations rise, fall, and recur. Sacred rituals and astronomical observations were linked to human consciousness, with priests and shamans interpreting celestial patterns as reflections of inner spiritual cycles. In this context, the Mayan understanding of time resonates with modern theories of recursion, loops, and interconnectedness, suggesting that the ancients intuited principles of reality that contemporary science is still formalizing. The past is never fully gone. It loops back, shaping present awareness and perhaps even guiding the future. Central to these ancient philosophies is the concept of soul memory, the idea that consciousness carries knowledge and experience across lives. Vedic texts describe the Atman, the eternal self, which retains the imprint of every action, every thought, and every perception. In this framework, memory is not limited to a single temporal existence. It is layered, cumulative, and persistent. Stories of individuals recalling past lives, long before modern psychology sought to study such phenomena, echo these ancient teachings. Children spontaneously recalling historical details, adults experiencing unexplainable intuition, and the universality of déjà vu may be reflections of this soul memory. Far from superstition, these experiences suggest an early, intuitive grasp of continuity in consciousness, a principle now being investigated through neuroscience, psychology, and even quantum speculation. Yet these philosophies do not merely dwell on the abstract. They are embedded in ritual, art, and daily life, providing practical frameworks for living with awareness of the cyclical nature of existence. In India, rituals of purification, meditation, and moral reflection are designed to refine the soul across lifetimes. In Egypt, elaborate funerary practices and symbolic art ensured that consciousness would navigate the afterlife successfully. In Maya culture, ceremonial observances aligned human activity with cosmic cycles, harmonizing personal and societal existence with celestial rhythms. These practices reflect a profound understanding that consciousness is shaped not only by physical events, but also by awareness, intention, and reflection across time. The ancients recognized the continuity of the self and the subtle ways in which the past, present, and future interconnect. Contrast between ancient and modern worldviews emerges naturally here. Contemporary science often emphasizes linear causality, observable phenomena, and empirical measurement. Memory is confined to neural circuits. Consciousness is the product of biological activity. Existence begins with birth and ends with death. Ancient philosophies, by contrast, posit a layered, cyclical reality where consciousness persists, interacts, and evolves across lifetimes. Modern skepticism can dismiss these ideas as mythological, but there is a striking resonance when juxtaposed with phenomena that defy easy explanation. Past life recollections, deep intuitive knowledge, and moments of uncanny familiarity. The ancients approached questions of existence with a rigor of observation and imagination that parallels scientific inquiry, albeit expressed in symbolic, philosophical, and ritual forms. Consider the striking parallels between the cyclical philosophies of the ancients and contemporary scientific speculation. Quantum theories propose multiple realities, superposition, and non-linear time. Neuroscience reveals memory's reconstructive and often non-linear qualities. Psychology explores the persistence of subconscious knowledge. In ancient thought, similar concepts were encoded symbolically. Samsara, reincarnation, and karma all imply a continuity of experience, a layering of consciousness, and a framework in which the self is more than a single iteration. Far from being quaint or primitive, these ideas reveal a sophisticated engagement with the mysteries of existence, anticipating questions that modern science and philosophy continue to explore. The myths and stories of ancient civilizations also provide insight into human engagement with memory and identity. Hindu epics like the Mahabharata and Ramayana describe characters whose lives and choices ripple across generations, suggesting an intuitive understanding of causality and continuity. Egyptian tales of Osiris and the cycles of death and rebirth articulate the soul's journey as a process of refinement, learning, and transformation. Mayan narratives link human destiny to cosmic patterns, emphasizing the interplay between individual action and universal rhythm. In each case, the ancients grappled with questions that resonate deeply with modern inquiries into consciousness. Who are we beyond the body? How does experience persist? What structures underlie the apparent linearity of life? Cultural expression, ritual, and art were more than aesthetic. They encoded philosophical and existential truths. Temples, pyramids, and ceremonial spaces were designed to reflect cosmic order and cyclical time, connecting human consciousness with larger patterns of existence. Meditation, introspection, and ethical living were understood as practical methods to refine consciousness across cycles of life. The ancients recognized that the human experience is both temporal and eternal, bounded and expansive. They understood intuitively that memory, intuition, and recognition could extend beyond the visible and measurable, linking individual awareness to a broader, more enduring reality. Yet modern skepticism persists. Empirical evidence demands reproducibility, measurement, and falsifiability. Sacred text and philosophical narratives are often dismissed as allegorical, psychological, or cultural artifacts. However, the resonance of these ancient philosophies with contemporary phenomena, déjà vu, past life recall, intuition, suggests that they are more than mere superstition. They are early insights into consciousness, offering a lens through which to view the continuity, complexity, and subtlety of human experience. By juxtaposing these ancient frameworks with modern scientific understanding, we begin to see a continuum of inquiry, stretching across millennia, cultures, and modes of thought, all grappling with the same fundamental questions. What is the nature of self? How does consciousness persist? What patterns underlie existence? The contrast between ancient wisdom and modern knowledge also serves to highlight the limitations of each. Science provides tools for measurement, analysis, and prediction, yet it struggles to account for the subjective, qualitative aspects of consciousness. Ancient philosophy provides frameworks for meaning, continuity, and moral reflection, yet it often lacks empirical verification. Together, however, they create a dialogue, a complementary exploration that enriches our understanding. The ancient recognition of cyclical time and soul memory offers a conceptual bridge to modern explorations of quantum realities, neural mechanisms, and the persistent mysteries of human cognition. In essence, these civilizations recognize that life is not a single, isolated event, but a continuum. Human identity, memory, and awareness were seen as threads woven into a vast, cyclical tapestry of existence. Rituals, myths, and philosophical texts were tools for navigating this complexity, offering insights into how consciousness interacts with time, memory, and reality. Their perspectives resonate powerfully today, as modern science uncovers anomalies in memory, perception, and temporal experience, and as quantum physics challenges assumptions about the linearity of reality. The narrative here is not merely historical. It is existential. By examining ancient philosophies alongside contemporary science, we see a convergence of intuition, observation, and speculation. Memory and consciousness may extend beyond the material and temporal confines we assume. Time may be cyclical, not linear. Life may be iterative, consciousness cumulative, and identity far more expansive than any single lifetime can contain. The ancients grasped this in symbolic and ritualistic ways, centuries before neuroscience, psychology, or quantum mechanics would attempt formal explanations. Their insights invite us to reconsider what we take for granted. to see the patterns underlying experience, and to embrace a sense of awe at the continuity and mystery of existence. As we move forward from these philosophical and historical insights, we are prepared to bridge the ancient with the modern, the symbolic with the empirical, and the human scale with the cosmic. The journey will continue into the frontier of consciousness and evolution, exploring how the insights of the past resonate with the emerging understanding of human origins, awareness, and the potential echoes of previous lives. The stage is set for a synthesis where philosophy, science, and existential inquiry intersect, creating a rich, cinematic exploration of what it means to exist, to remember, and to be. Throughout history, humans have recounted experiences that defy the conventional understanding of time and memory. From ancient scriptures to modern psychological studies, the notion that consciousness may extend beyond a single lifetime has persisted, whispered through stories of uncanny recollection, vivid dreams, and inexplicable intuition. These accounts are not merely fantastical tales. They are documented with careful observation, verification, and in some instances, astonishing historical accuracy. In this section, we explore a series of such case studies, cinematic in their detail, emotionally gripping, and intellectually provocative, challenging the boundaries between skepticism and belief. One of the most compelling early investigations comes from the work of Dr. Ian Stevenson, a pioneering psychiatrist at the University of Virginia. Over decades, Stevenson meticulously documented cases of children who spontaneously recalled past lives, often providing precise names, locations, and events that could be independently verified. Consider the case of a young boy born in India who spoke with remarkable specificity about a man named Prem who had died several years prior in a distant village. The child described familial relationships, daily routines, and even the layout of the home, details confirmed by surviving relatives. To the rational mind, the probability of guessing such information correctly by coincidence is vanishingly small. Yet, the boy had no apparent access to this knowledge through ordinary means. The emotional resonance of these experiences is equally striking. Children often exhibit strong emotional reactions to people, objects, or places connected to their alleged past lives. In one documented case, a girl repeatedly attempted to return to a town she had never visited in her current life, claiming that it felt like home and that she had lived there before. Upon investigation, the town and family she described were verified, and the details she provided matched historical records from decades prior. What is particularly remarkable is not merely the accuracy of these accounts, but the intensity of the emotional attachment, suggesting that memory and consciousness may indeed transcend conventional temporal boundaries. Skepticism is, of course, a natural response. Critics argue that these phenomena could result from suggestion, cryptomnesia, or cultural influences. Children may unconsciously absorb information from overheard conversations, media, or community stories. Yet many documented cases occur in cultures and contexts where exposure is highly unlikely, and where the level of detail surpasses what could reasonably be acquired through ordinary experience. In some instances, children have displayed knowledge of languages, customs, or geographic features entirely unknown to them in their current environment, raising questions that conventional psychology struggles to explain. Another compelling example involves a child who accurately described the life of a deceased soldier in a different city and country. The boy provided detailed accounts of battles, military insignia, and personal habits of the soldier, verified through military records and interviews with surviving family members. The accuracy of the descriptions, coupled with the child's vivid emotional engagement, presents a remarkable intersection of empirical observation and phenomenological experience. Here, the tension between measurable evidence and the extraordinary claims of memory creates a space of awe and uncertainty, compelling the observer to question the limits of reality and perception. The stories extend beyond children. Adults, too, report experiences of past life recollection, often emerging through dreams, meditation, or spontaneous memory. One woman, after a prolonged period of meditation, began recalling life as a seamstress in 19th century France. She described daily routines, emotional relationships, and even specific garments with such precision that her accounts were later corroborated by historical records. In another case, a man experienced vivid recollections of life as a sailor lost at sea, recounting ship designs, navigational techniques, and personal interactions consistent with historical documentation from the period. These adult accounts, while sometimes less systematically studied than children's memories, are no less compelling in their detail, emotional impact, or resistance to conventional explanation. Foresight, another aspect of past life phenomena, adds yet another layer of intrigue. Some experiencers report knowledge of future events or precognitive insights that later manifest in reality. While these cases are rarer, they are particularly challenging to reconcile with current scientific paradigms. A notable example involves a child who, while describing a past life in a small European village, accurately predicted the outcome of a local dispute, providing details that were subsequently verified. Skeptics might argue coincidence, yet the specificity, emotional intensity, and context of such instances resist easy dismissal. These cases highlight the potential interconnectedness of consciousness, memory, and time, suggesting that awareness may transcend the linearity assumed by conventional science. The psychological and emotional consequences of these experiences are profound. Many individuals report that recalling past lives profoundly shapes their values, relationships, and worldview. Children who recall previous existences often display remarkable empathy, understanding, and moral sensitivity, seemingly shaped by experiences they cannot consciously remember in their current life. Adults who explore past life memory through meditation or therapeutic techniques often report transformative effects, including increased emotional resilience, perspective on life challenges, and a deeper sense of connectedness with the broader flow of existence. These experiential outcomes reinforce the idea that such memories, whether fully verifiable or partially symbolic, carry meaningful significance for the consciousness experiencing them. Cinematic reenactment of these cases underscores their emotional and intellectual resonance. Imagine a child, eyes wide with recognition, pointing out features of a distant home they have never visited, or an adult in meditation, swept into vivid recollections of a bygone era. The intensity of these experiences, coupled with verified details, creates a narrative that is both mesmerizing and unsettling. The contrast between the ordinary appearance of the experiencer and the extraordinary content of their memory amplifies the cinematic tension, drawing the audience into a world where skepticism and belief coexist in uneasy but compelling proximity. Verification remains a cornerstone of credible investigation. Dr. Stevenson and his colleagues employed rigorous methodologies, including interviews with families, corroboration of historical records, and repeated observation of behaviors. In cases where cultural knowledge could not reasonably have been acquired by the child, the veracity of the memories is particularly striking. These cases are not anecdotal in the casual sense. They are systematically documented phenomena that challenge our understanding of memory, identity, and the potential continuity of consciousness. The rigorous approach ensures that the discussion remains credible, grounded in careful observation, even as it ventures into the extraordinary. Contrast framing is crucial in presenting these stories. On one side, skepticism demands empirical proof, reproducibility, and logical coherence. On the other, the emotional truth experienced by the individual intense recognition, vivid memory, and moral or emotional transformation cannot be easily discounted. The interplay of doubt and belief, evidence and phenomenology, creates a cinematic tension that invites viewers to explore the space between what can be proven and what can be experienced. These case studies, compelling in their precision and depth, illuminate the human mind's capacity to reach beyond the observable into realms of memory, consciousness, and possibility that challenge conventional understanding. Several additional cases underscore the diversity and universality of past life phenomena. In Asia, a young boy recalled life as a man in a distant village, including intricate details of his home, family relationships, and occupation. In Europe, a woman spontaneously recounted experiences as a noblewoman during the Renaissance, describing clothing, social hierarchies, and historical events later confirmed by experts. In North America, children have described lives as individuals in historical settlements or indigenous communities, sometimes including knowledge of languages or customs they could not have been exposed to in their current life. Across continents and cultures, the consistency of these patterns suggests that past life recall is not merely a cultural artifact, but may point to a deeper, universal aspect of human consciousness. Skeptical investigation continues to challenge and refine interpretations. Some researchers argue that imaginative play, fantasy, or unconscious absorption of information can explain certain cases. Others note the possibility of selective reporting, confirmation bias, or coincidence. Yet the cases that resist these explanations, those that provide detailed, verifiable, and emotionally intense accounts, remain profoundly puzzling. Here, contrast is again essential. The measurable, empirical tools of science confront experiences that appear to exceed conventional explanation. This tension is not a flaw, but a source of intellectual and emotional engagement, compelling the audience to wrestle with fundamental questions about consciousness, memory, and reality. The phenomenology of past life recall also raises existential questions. If consciousness can traverse multiple lifetimes, how does that reshape our understanding of identity, morality, and purpose? Are we solitary beings, confined to a single, linear life, or are we participants in a vast, interwoven continuum, carrying experiences, lessons, and knowledge across temporal boundaries? These questions are not abstract. They resonate deeply with the human longing for meaning, continuity, and connection. Each case study, while grounded in empirical investigation, also serves as a portal into these larger questions, transforming individual narratives into universal inquiry. The narrative structure of these accounts is inherently cinematic. Consider the suspense of verification. A child identifies a house they have never visited, or recounts a name unknown to their current life, only to have historians confirm the details. The emotional intensity of recognition, the tension between skepticism and wonder, and the eventual corroboration create a narrative arc as gripping as any thriller. This approach mirrors the broader documentary framework, juxtaposing empirical evidence with the human experience, creating an intellectual and emotional journey that captivates, challenges, and inspires. The accumulation of these case studies across cultures and epochs suggests patterns rather than anomalies. The specificity, emotional resonance, and verifiable content point to a phenomenon worthy of serious exploration. While definitive proof of reincarnation remains elusive, the consistency and richness of the accounts compel consideration of possibilities that transcend current scientific paradigms. The stories illustrate that consciousness, memory, and identity may extend beyond the apparent limits of time, offering glimpses into a broader tapestry of existence. In reflecting on these narratives, one observes the interplay of doubt and wonder, skepticism and belief, evidence and mystery. The audience is invited into a liminal space where conventional explanations meet extraordinary experience. Each case study provides a window into the potential continuity of consciousness, a bridge between the measurable and the ineffable, the empirical and the experiential. As we transition from these stories to deeper inquiry, the stage is set for exploring the underlying mechanisms, theoretical frameworks, and existential implications of consciousness extending beyond a single life. The cinematic impact of these accounts cannot be overstated. Through careful presentation, reenactment, and storytelling, the audience experiences the intensity of recognition, the suspense of verification, and the emotional depth of transformation. Each story resonates on multiple levels, intellectually, as a challenge to conventional understanding, emotionally, as a glimpse into the lived experience of consciousness, and philosophically, as an invitation to reconsider the boundaries of reality, identity, and existence. These narratives create a compelling bridge from anecdote to inquiry, preparing the viewer for exploration of consciousness, memory, and the philosophical and scientific frontiers that lie ahead. Ultimately, the stories of past life recall challenge our assumptions about time, identity, and the continuity of consciousness. They ask us to confront the possibility that existence may be broader, richer, and more interconnected than conventional science or everyday experience allows. Through meticulous documentation, emotional resonance, and cinematic storytelling, these case studies illuminate the tension between skepticism and wonder, evidence and mystery, grounding speculative inquiry in lived experience. They provide a foundation for deeper exploration into consciousness, memory, and the cosmic possibilities suggested by quantum theory and ancient philosophical wisdom. In the next section, we will examine the intersection of consciousness and evolution, exploring how human awareness may have developed to perceive, process, and perhaps retain aspects of experience beyond a single lifetime. By connecting empirical case studies with evolutionary biology, neuroscience, and speculative theory, we will continue our journey through the extraordinary possibilities of existence, consciousness, and the echoes of lives already lived. The story of human consciousness begins not with civilization, schools, or philosophy, but with the distant ancestors of modern humans, wandering the African savannas millions of years ago. Early hominids, driven by survival, developed the first glimmers of awareness, a sense of self, rudimentary problem solving, and the ability to recognize other beings as distinct entities. These primitive minds were shaped by necessity, identifying predators, tracking prey, and navigating complex social networks. Yet within these survival imperatives lay the seeds of something far more profound: the capacity for reflection, imagination, and eventually abstract thought. Consciousness, as we understand it today, did not appear suddenly. It emerged gradually, a layered and intricate evolution of perception, memory, and awareness. Anthropology and neuroscience provide remarkable insight into this transformation. Fossil evidence, coupled with studies of early tools and cultural artifacts, reveals a trajectory from instinct-driven behavior toward increasingly sophisticated cognition. Homo habilis, for instance, crafted simple stone tools, demonstrating foresight and planning. Homo erectus developed coordinated hunting strategies, suggesting rudimentary collective awareness and communication. By the time Homo sapiens emerged, the human brain had reached a complexity capable of language, symbolism, and self-reflection. Each evolutionary step was both biological and cognitive, producing a mind able to contemplate its own existence, question its origins, and imagine futures not yet realized. Yet consciousness is more than neural circuitry or cortical expansion. It encompasses subjective experience, the vivid awareness of being, perceiving, and acting in the world. Modern science often frames consciousness as an emergent property of complex neural networks, a byproduct of evolutionary refinement. The interplay of synaptic connections, memory encoding, and sensory integration creates the illusion of a continuous, unified self. But anomalies, déjà vu, precognition, intuitive insight, and the extraordinary cases of past life recall challenge the notion that consciousness is entirely confined to the material. Could these experiences hint at a mind that is not strictly bounded by a single life or linear time? The evolutionary story of consciousness may contain layers we have yet to fully comprehend, bridging biology with the ineffable. Cultural evolution mirrors biological evolution, reinforcing and expanding human awareness. The development of language allowed early humans to encode memories, abstract concepts, and shared knowledge. Symbolic thought emerged through art, ritual, and storytelling, preserving collective experience and transmitting insights across generations. Cave paintings, ritual artifacts, and early mythology are not mere decoration. They are evidence of minds grappling with existence, identity, and the unseen forces shaping life. Across millennia, humans have continually refined their capacity for self-reflection, ethical reasoning, and imaginative exploration. Consciousness evolved as both an individual and communal phenomenon, extending beyond survival to include introspection, empathy, and the quest for meaning. Yet scientific rigor does not exclude wonder. The complexity of the human mind, from the oscillating electrical patterns of neurons to the subtle, emergent qualities of awareness, invites speculation. What if consciousness is not merely an evolutionary adaptation, but also a medium capable of retaining traces of experience across temporal boundaries? The documented cases of past life recall and anomalous memory suggest that our awareness may have continuity beyond the lifespan of a single body. While mainstream science remains cautious, the possibility ignites the imagination, merging evolutionary biology with the philosophical inquiry that has inspired humanity for millennia. The cognitive leap from primitive awareness to modern consciousness is reflected in the development of moral and ethical frameworks. Early humans demonstrated empathy, reciprocity, and social cohesion traits critical for survival in increasingly complex groups. Ritualized behavior, cooperative hunting, and caregiving represent the early foundations of what we now recognize as ethical consciousness. These behavioral patterns suggest that human minds have always sought more than mere survival. They strive to understand, predict, and influence the world, guided by awareness that transcends immediate necessity. Consciousness, therefore, is not static. It is a dynamic, evolving force, shaped by both biology and culture. The neurological substrate of consciousness provides further intrigue. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for decision-making, foresight, and self-reflection, expanded dramatically in Homo sapiens. Neural networks interconnected memory, sensory input, and emotional processing, enabling humans to construct complex internal representations of the world. Dreams, imagination, and creativity are manifestations of this emergent complexity, revealing the mind's ability to simulate, anticipate, and explore beyond immediate reality. When viewed through this lens, the possibility of consciousness extending beyond a single lifetime may not be entirely implausible. The mind's capacity to encode, integrate, and project experience suggests mechanisms that could, in principle, interact with dimensions of reality we have yet to fully measure or understand. Anthropological evidence further supports the notion of continuity in consciousness. Across ancient civilizations, practices like meditation, divination, and ritualized trance indicate a long-standing human interest in accessing memories or knowledge beyond ordinary experience. Shamans in Siberia, priests in Egypt, and mystics in India employed techniques designed to expand awareness, transcend linear time, and connect with ancestral or cosmic knowledge. These practices may reflect an intuitive grasp of consciousness as layered and persistent, capable of accessing both personal and collective memory. The alignment between such practices and modern reports of past life experiences suggests a continuum of inquiry, bridging evolution, culture, and the mystery of awareness. Philosophical implications arise naturally from this evolutionary narrative. If consciousness is the product of incremental biological refinement, capable of abstraction, introspection, and moral reasoning, what is its ultimate scope? Is it confined to the lifespan of a single organism, or does it extend like a thread through time, connecting past, present, and perhaps even future selves? The interplay of biology and speculation generates a tension central to this documentary's inquiry. Evolution provides the framework, but human experience often points towards something larger, subtler, and more enigmatic. Each neural advance, each cultural refinement, and each anomalous memory invites us to reconsider the limits of awareness and the possible persistence of consciousness across temporal boundaries. Consider the emotional and experiential dimension. Modern humans navigate a world of abstract symbols, complex societies, and rapidly changing environments. Yet within this sophistication lies the same drive observed in our earliest ancestors: the desire to understand, to anticipate, and to connect. Intuition, insight, and inspiration are echoes of this drive, resonating with phenomena that may hint at consciousness extending beyond immediate experience. The tension between evolutionary pragmatism and philosophical wonder defines the narrative arc. The mind is both a product of material adaptation and a doorway into realms that challenge conventional scientific explanation. Neuroscience also reveals the delicate interplay between memory, perception, and identity. Memory is reconstructive, not photographic. It blends past experience with present context, shaping our perception of self. Yet anomalies persist. Inexplicable familiarity, precognitive dreams, and sudden intuitive knowledge suggest that memory may not be entirely confined to conventional biological mechanisms. These phenomena echo the concept of consciousness as a layered, evolving system, retaining information across more than a single lifespan. Evolution may have produced the architecture, but the experience of consciousness may transcend purely material explanation, pointing toward continuity that is at once biological and existential. The evolution of consciousness also illuminates the human capacity for creativity and imagination. From early stone tools to epic poetry, from ritualized dance to theoretical physics, humans have demonstrated the ability to manipulate symbols, project futures, and explore possibilities beyond immediate survival. These capacities suggest that consciousness is not merely reactive, but generative, capable of constructing complex mental landscapes that extend beyond the present moment. Such generative qualities may offer a mechanism by which memory or awareness could resonate across lifetimes, forming a bridge between the empirical and the speculative, the biological and the metaphysical. Cultural and scientific evidence converge in intriguing ways. Anthropologists, psychologists, and neuroscientists document the gradual emergence of self-reflection, abstract thought, and moral reasoning. Meanwhile, reports of past life memory, precognition, and intuitive insight provide phenomenological evidence that consciousness may operate on scales and timelines not yet fully understood. The juxtaposition of rigorous evolutionary study with these extraordinary accounts creates a rich narrative tension, a scientifically grounded exploration infused with cosmic wonder, where skepticism and possibility coexist. Consider, too, the evolutionary advantage of awareness extending beyond a single lifetime. If consciousness retains subtle imprints of past experience, it can enhance survival, creativity, and social cohesion. An intuitive understanding of patterns, relationships, and cause and effect may not be fully explicable within a single lifespan, but can emerge from accumulated, layered awareness. The interplay between empirical evolution and speculative continuity provides a compelling framework for understanding the extraordinary human capacity for insight, foresight, and existential reflection. Ultimately, the evolution of consciousness is a story of both material refinement and profound mystery. From primitive hominids surviving in harsh landscapes to modern humans contemplating quantum physics, cosmology, and past life memory, awareness has grown, deepened, and expanded. Each stage of evolution, biological, cultural, and cognitive, has incrementally enhanced the capacity for reflection, abstraction, and ethical reasoning. Yet alongside this scientific narrative lies the possibility that consciousness is not bounded by a single life, that memory, intuition, and insight may transcend temporal and spatial limits. This duality, the interplay of rigorous science and speculative inquiry, defines our journey through consciousness. The narrative of evolution provides structure, evidence, and empirical grounding, while reports of past life recall, anomalous intuition, and precognitive insight suggest realms of experience that challenge conventional understanding. Together, they create a cinematic tension, a journey from the origins of mind to the frontiers of awareness, where biology meets philosophy and the material meets the mysterious dot as we transition from the evolution of consciousness to the broader landscape of human experience. We carry forward both scientific insight and philosophical curiosity. The mind, shaped by millions of years of evolution, is not merely a survival instrument but a medium capable of perceiving, reflecting, and possibly transcending temporal boundaries. From primitive awareness to modern cognition, the journey of consciousness illuminates both what we are and what we might be, revealing the possibility that our experience, memory, and identity are far more expansive than we have yet dared to imagine. The next section will explore the profound intersection of human history, civilization, and the continuity of consciousness, examining how collective memory, cultural evolution, and societal development may intertwine with the mysteries of past life awareness. By bridging personal experience, evolutionary biology, and historical development, we move closer to understanding consciousness as both a product of nature and a phenomenon that may traverse time itself. Question of whether consciousness extends beyond a single lifetime has always been polarizing. Across centuries, thinkers, scientists, and philosophers have grappled with it, oscillating between skepticism and belief. Some dismiss reports of past life recollection as coincidence, fantasy, or cultural suggestion. Others argue that these phenomena, documented with meticulous care, hint at a reality that conventional science struggles to explain. The tension between doubt and possibility is the heartbeat of this debate, a space where intellectual rigor meets existential curiosity, where evidence clashes with imagination, and where the limits of understanding are continually tested. Philosophers have long pondered the nature of memory and identity. Plato suggested that learning is a process of recollection, that the soul remembers knowledge acquired in a pre-existent state. Descartes, centuries later, wrestled with the certainty of self, distinguishing mind from matter but leaving questions of continuity unresolved. In contemporary discourse, debates center on whether consciousness is purely emergent, a product of neural networks and biochemical processes, or whether it has an aspect that transcends the material. This philosophical scaffolding shapes modern exploration of past life phenomena, grounding it in centuries of intellectual inquiry. Skeptical scientists caution against drawing conclusions from anecdotal evidence. Psychologists point to cognitive biases, cryptomnesia, and the brain's capacity to construct false memories as explanations for extraordinary recollections. Neurologists highlight the reconstructive nature of memory. The mind does not store experiences like a camera. It actively rebuilds them, blending fact, imagination, and suggestion. In this framework, a vivid past life memory could be a complex confabulation, a psychological artifact, not a trace of an actual previous existence. The rigor of materialist science demands that extraordinary claims meet extraordinary standards of evidence, and in many cases, these phenomena fall short of reproducibility. Yet proponents argue that skepticism alone cannot account for the detailed, verifiable, and culturally diverse cases documented over decades. Dr. Ian Stevenson's research, among others, identified children who recalled specific names, locations, and events that were later corroborated. In some cases, the probability of accurate guesswork or prior exposure was minuscule. The methodological care of these studies interviews, historical verification, and cross-cultural observation positions them not as anecdotes, but as serious scientific inquiry. Here, the tension between doubt and evidence is palpable. Can we dismiss meticulous observation simply because it challenges conventional paradigms? Philosophical perspectives deepen the complexity. Materialists maintain that consciousness arises solely from neural activity. Memory, intuition, and awareness are products of the brain's computational processes. Any perceived continuity beyond death, they argue, is an illusion. Metaphysical thinkers, however, posit that consciousness may be an intrinsic aspect of reality, not limited by space, time, or biology. In this view, life, death, and memory are part of a larger continuum, and the mind is capable of perceiving layers of existence inaccessible to ordinary observation. Then the contrast between these perspectives, the measurable and the speculative, creates a rich narrative tension, compelling inquiry and reflection. Contemporary debates extend into the realm of quantum consciousness. Physicists and theorists explore whether phenomena like entanglement, superposition, and non-locality could allow aspects of awareness to persist beyond conventional temporal constraints. While this remains speculative, it provides a conceptual bridge between neurological processes and broader metaphysical hypotheses. Could consciousness, like quantum information, be non-local, unbounded by a single body or lifetime? The possibility is both intellectually tantalizing and narratively dramatic, inviting viewers to imagine a universe where awareness is far more expansive than current materialist models allow. Ethical considerations also emerge in these debates. If consciousness persists beyond death, what implications does this have for human behavior, moral responsibility, and societal norms? Skeptics may dismiss these questions as irrelevant without empirical verification. Yet believers argue that exploring these possibilities enriches understanding, fosters empathy, and situates human life within a larger continuum of existence. The debate is therefore not purely academic. It resonates deeply with the human desire for meaning, continuity, and understanding. Cinematic storytelling heightens the tension of these controversies. Visualizations juxtapose brain scans with historical reenactments, merging the empirical and the phenomenal. Dramatic pacing accentuates moments of uncertainty, while graphics illustrate the probabilistic odds, the flow of neural networks, and the expansive scales of time and memory. Through this interplay, viewers are immersed in the intellectual drama, the tug-of-war between evidence and doubt, materialism and metaphysics, imagination and verification. The narrative is not just informative. It is viscerally engaging, provoking wonder, skepticism, and curiosity simultaneously. Historical examples provide additional texture. In 19th century Europe, spiritualist movements claimed communication with the dead, past life regressions, and clairvoyant insight. Critics accuse these movements of fraud, suggestion, or delusion, yet some accounts contain details that later proved accurate. Across cultures, similar phenomena appear. Shamans, mystics, and ritual practitioners report experiences of consciousness transcending the body, reinforcing the notion that the human mind is drawn toward exploring continuity, memory, and existential mysteries. The repetition of these patterns across geography and time adds weight to claims that something profound is at work. Psychological frameworks illuminate why these debates persist. Humans have a dual need: to understand the world empirically and to find meaning existentially. Skepticism addresses the first, demanding reproducible data and logical coherence. Belief, or openness to metaphysical possibility, addresses the second, engaging with awe, wonder, and the ineffable. Past life memory exists at this intersection, provoking both doubt and fascination. The tension itself becomes a narrative tool, allowing viewers to wrestle with their own assumptions, biases, and hopes. Scientific investigations continue to push boundaries. Studies on children's spontaneous memories, near-death experiences, and exceptional intuitive phenomena provide data points that challenge purely materialist explanations. While controversies abound, methodological disputes, cultural interpretation, and interpretive bias, the accumulation of such studies invites serious reflection. Even skeptical scientists acknowledge that some cases resist conventional explanation, prompting questions that are not easily answered but richly compelling. The debate is ongoing, dynamic, and unresolved, creating a fertile space for cinematic exploration. Legal and philosophical debates add another layer of complexity. If consciousness continues, what are the implications for identity, accountability, and the understanding of personhood? Philosophers have long questioned whether identity is tied solely to the physical brain or whether it encompasses broader experiential continuity. Legal frameworks assume singular, temporally bounded identity, yet the phenomenology of past life memory provokes reconsideration of these assumptions. While abstract, these discussions resonate with existential and societal concerns, linking individual experience to broader questions of morality, justice, and the nature of self. The controversy is also social. Belief in reincarnation or past life memory varies widely by culture. In India, these concepts are embedded in religious and philosophical thought, while in Western contexts, they are often marginalized or dismissed. Cross-cultural studies reveal patterns that suggest these phenomena are not culturally bound illusions, but may reflect universal cognitive or experiential capacities. The contrast between global acceptance and local skepticism enhances the dramatic tension, emphasizing that debate is not merely theoretical, it is lived, practiced, and emotionally charged. Critics often emphasize the absence of direct causal mechanisms. How could memory persist beyond death? How might information bypass the decay of neural tissue? Proponents point to phenomena in quantum theory, consciousness studies, and unexplained psychic experiences as potential clues, suggesting that our current understanding of the universe may be incomplete. Here, contrast framing is essential. The rigor of empirical science challenges speculative interpretation, yet the unexplained invites wonder, curiosity, and the possibility of discovery. The audience is left at the edge of comprehension, witnessing the collision of doubt and possibility. Cinematic pacing is crucial in conveying these debates. Quick cuts between skeptical commentary, historical reenactment, and scientific visualization create rhythm and tension. The narrative alternates between rational exposition and emotionally charged storytelling, reflecting the duality of the topic itself. Viewers are invited to navigate the space between measurable evidence and personal experience, confronting questions that resist tidy answers. The tension is sustained, immersive, and intellectually provocative, providing a bridge to more speculative explorations in subsequent sections. Technological advances also shape contemporary debates. Neuroimaging, longitudinal psychological studies, and cross-cultural anthropological research provide new methods for investigating consciousness, memory, and perception. Yet even with these tools, anomalies persist. Some children's memories, premonitory insights, and unexplained intuitive knowledge continue to defy conventional explanation, leaving gaps where science meets mystery. These gaps are fertile ground for speculation, but they are not purely fantastical. They are carefully observed, documented, and debated, creating a credible yet awe-inspiring narrative tension. Debates are not only academic, they are existential. If consciousness can persist, what does this mean for death, morality, and meaning? Skeptics fear illusion or error. Believers embrace the transformative implications. The tension between these perspectives is a central cinematic device, framing the human search for understanding as both intellectual and deeply personal. Through case studies, historical analysis, and philosophical discourse, the audience is immersed in the drama, experiencing the stakes of this debate firsthand. Ultimately, the controversies surrounding past life memory and consciousness beyond the material universe illuminate the frontiers of human inquiry. Science provides methodology, measurement, and skepticism. Philosophy supplies conceptual frameworks, ethical reflection, and existential questioning. Phenomenology offers lived experience, emotional depth, and anecdotal evidence. Together, these perspectives create a dynamic, cinematic narrative that engages both mind and heart, bridging the gap between measurable reality and speculative possibility. As we move beyond debate into speculative horizons, the groundwork laid by these controversies allows us to explore consciousness in even more expansive terms. The interplay of evidence, doubt, and wonder prepares the audience to consider hypotheses that stretch across space, time, and perhaps multiple realities. The stage is set for a journey into the frontier of human understanding, where imagination, philosophy, and science converge to probe the ultimate mysteries of life, death, and awareness itself. What if the moments we experience are not linear, flowing from past to present to future, but instead spiral endlessly, recurring in subtle or profound ways? Imagine waking each day within a loop of existence, where choices, memories, and lives echo infinitely, like ripples across the fabric of time. This concept, eternal recurrence, has fascinated philosophers, mystics, and scientists alike, challenging conventional notions of temporality. It asks us to reconsider what it means to live, to remember, and to exist. Could déjà vu, premonition, and inexplicable intuition be glimpses of this recursive reality? The question is both audacious and intimate, striking at the core of identity, memory, and awareness. Ancient philosophies provide a poetic scaffold for these ideas. Hindu cosmology envisions Kala Chakra, the wheel of time, endlessly cycling through creation, preservation, and dissolution. Nietzsche's philosophy of eternal recurrence imagines a universe where every event, every choice, repeats infinitely, a cosmic mirror reflecting the self across infinite iterations. Modern physics, surprisingly, offers analogous possibilities. The concept of closed time-like curves, solutions in general relativity, suggests that under certain conditions, trajectories could loop back, creating a physical model for cyclical time. Quantum mechanics, with its probabilistic nature and superposition of states, hints that multiple outcomes may exist simultaneously, potentially enabling consciousness to traverse overlapping or repeating timelines. Consciousness as energy becomes a compelling lens in this speculative framework. If awareness is not merely a byproduct of neural processes, but a subtle energetic phenomenon, then memory, intuition, and identity may persist beyond the constraints of a single body or moment. Quantum theories of mind propose that information, entangled and non-local, could encode experiences that survive biological death. Viewed poetically, each soul, each consciousness could resonate across time, revisiting moments, recalibrating choices, and interacting with parallel realities. The intersection of quantum mechanics, philosophy, And metaphysical speculation allows us to imagine a universe in which time is not a line but a multidimensional tapestry. Thought experiments illuminate these possibilities. Imagine you awaken in a familiar room, sensing that you have been here before, not merely metaphorically, but literally. Each object, sound, and gesture is layered with traces of previous iterations of this life. The sensation is uncanny yet precise, a feeling of resonance that defies explanation by ordinary neuroscience. Could memory, like a quantum wave function, collapse repeatedly into similar patterns across multiple iterations of existence? While conventional science may label this as illusion or coincidence, the speculative horizon invites us to suspend disbelief, exploring a reality where the mind is both observer and participant in a recursive cosmos. Cosmology further stretches the imagination. In theories of the multiverse, countless parallel worlds exist, each slightly different, each branching from every quantum decision. Perhaps what we call past life memories are glimpses of these alternative timelines, where choices diverged and converged in subtle ways. Consciousness might not be confined to a single thread of reality, but can access or resonate with multiple threads, generating experiences that feel uncanny or prophetic. The boundary between science and speculation blurs here. Rigorous physics provides a framework, while imagination fills in the experiential texture, creating a cinematic mental landscape that captivates and unsettles simultaneously. Cinematic visualization helps translate these abstract concepts into experience. Imagine sequences of fractal cities, time spiraling upward like a helix, moments repeating yet differing in infinitesimal ways. Visualize a human silhouette, outlined in faint energy, stepping forward, backward, and sideways through overlapping timelines. Each step resonates with echoes of prior iterations, memories bleeding into new choices. The brain, with its complex capacity for imagination, memory, and abstraction, becomes both the observer and the medium through which we experience these temporal loops. The narrative tension arises not from certainty, but from the sheer possibility of such a reality plausible enough to intrigue, poetic enough to inspire awe. Philosophical implications are profound. If life repeats, if consciousness persists across iterations, what does this mean for ethics, meaning, and personal identity? Choices may gain infinite weight, yet paradoxically, the recursive nature of existence could render outcomes simultaneously significant and ephemeral. Nietzsche's question, how would one live if one knew one would repeat every action eternally, becomes not just philosophical, but existential. Do we embrace life fully, knowing that each joy, sorrow, and decision might echo across infinity? The interplay between determinism and free will, between repetition and variation, transforms everyday experience into a profound meditation on existence itself. Scientific skepticism remains vital. Critics emphasize the lack of empirical evidence for literal loops of consciousness or life recurrence. Neurology, psychology, and physics provide models grounded in observable phenomena, memory reconstruction, probabilistic outcomes, and emergent properties of neural networks. Yet even these explanations leave cracks where speculation seeps in. Persistent déjà vu, spontaneous knowledge of events not yet experienced, and vivid anomalous memories challenge purely reductionist models. The tension between rigorous observation and imaginative speculation is central. It forces us to confront the limits of what we know and to explore what might exist just beyond the horizon of certainty. The notion of life as a quantum simulation adds another layer. If the universe is fundamentally informational, consciousness may function as a node interacting with patterns of probability, an observer collapsing potential into reality. In this framework, each life is a loop, each memory a record in a vast informational lattice. Time is not linear, but a landscape of possibilities, continuously folded, unfolded, and refolded by conscious experience. This perspective bridges physics with metaphysics, offering a narrative in which human experience is both emergent and fundamental, playful and profound, intimately personal and cosmically expansive. Ethically, speculative horizons invite reflection on responsibility and awareness. If lives recur, if choices echo across loops of time, what obligations arise? Perhaps compassion, empathy, and moral action gain new significance, extending beyond immediate consequences into a broader continuum. The interplay between speculation and lived experience encourage viewers to question assumptions, reflect on behavior, and consider how awareness, both scientific and philosophical, shapes not only perception, but potentially reality itself. Ancient wisdom resonates with these speculative frameworks. Hindu, Buddhist, and Taoist teachings often conceive of time as cyclical, consciousness as enduring, and existence as layered. Rituals, meditation, and narrative myth serve to attune human awareness to these patterns, long before modern physics offered equations for curvature, entropy, or superposition. When juxtaposed with contemporary theory, these traditions illuminate the possibility that humans have intuitively grasped truths about consciousness, memory, and time that science is only now beginning to formalize. This confluence of ancient insight and modern inquiry amplifies awe and deepens the sense of mystery. Cinematic pacing reinforces the speculative narrative. Slow-motion sequences of nature, human interaction, and cosmic phenomena evoke continuity and resonance. Graphics illustrating overlapping timelines, entangled consciousness, and cyclical patterns of energy provide visual metaphors for abstract concepts. Narrative rhythm alternates between intellectual exposition and contemplative reflection, allowing the audience to absorb both the scientific plausibility and the poetic resonance of life as loops. The storytelling style mirrors the content itself, layered, recursive, and endlessly intriguing. Consider, finally, the personal implications. If time, memory, and life recur, then every encounter, every insight, every decision might carry echoes of previous iterations. The ordinary becomes extraordinary, the familiar tinged with mystery, the mundane infused with profound significance. Each human experience, love, loss, curiosity, creativity becomes a thread in an infinite tapestry, looping across dimensions of time and consciousness. The audience is invited not only to witness, but to inhabit these possibilities, to feel the weight and beauty of speculative horizons as if they themselves are participants in an eternal recurrence dotting conclusion. Speculative horizons do not demand certainty. They demand imagination, reflection, and a willingness to question assumptions. By weaving together physics, philosophy, consciousness studies, and poetic intuition, this section transforms abstract theory into experiential inquiry. Time may not be linear. Memory may not be bound. Life may not be singular. In imagining these possibilities, we encounter both awe and responsibility, curiosity and humility, grounding and wonder. The speculative journey bridges the empirical foundation laid in earlier sections with the existential reflection to come, preparing viewers for the final meditation on consciousness, life, and the cosmos. As we transition to the conclusion, we carry forward the tension between evidence and imagination, skepticism and awe, science and philosophy. The loops of time, memory, and consciousness explored here form the bridge between what we can measure and what we can feel, between the finite scope of human life and the infinite possibilities of existence itself. The stage is set for the final reflection, a cinematic synthesis of inquiry, mystery, and meaning. What if the life you are living now is not the first, not the only? What if echoes of countless iterations ripple beneath the surface of ordinary moments, hidden in intuition, déjà vu, and the inexplicable sense of familiarity? As we close this journey, The question is not whether this is literally true, but what it would mean if it were. The possibility alone reshapes perspective, transforming daily life into a canvas of wonder, choice, and profound reflection. It invites viewers to embrace uncertainty, to dwell in the space between evidence and imagination, science and speculation, the tangible and the eternal dot. We began with the mind-bending question of whether our experiences might recur, whether memories could transcend a single lifetime. Along the way, we examined the intricate architecture of the human brain, the ways it constructs and reconstructs memory, and the astonishing phenomena of déjà vu and intuition. Neuroscience provided a framework, grounding our exploration in rigorous observation. Yet even as we mapped neurons and synapses, a persistent mystery remained. Why do certain memories feel impossibly vivid? Why do experiences sometimes resonate with uncanny accuracy? And why does the mind reach for patterns beyond the visible world? Here lies the first tension of our conclusion. Reality, as we perceive it, versus the imagination of what might be. Philosophy deepens this inquiry. From Plato to modern metaphysicians, thinkers have speculated on the continuity of consciousness, on the possibility that identity stretches beyond a single temporal boundary. Ancient wisdom from Hinduism's cycles of samsara to Buddhist insights into rebirth offers frameworks for understanding existence as recurring, layered, and interconnected. These traditions suggest that life may not be linear but cyclical, that every action, every thought, and every choice may echo across multiple existences. Juxtaposing this with materialist perspectives creates a contrast that is both unsettling and liberating. Certainty is elusive, yet imagination offers a bridge to profound reflection. Stories of past life recall remind us that the question is not purely abstract. Children who recount details of distant lives with astonishing accuracy, individuals who intuit events they have never experienced, and historical accounts verified after the fact hint at a continuity beyond conventional explanation. Skeptics attribute these phenomena to coincidence, memory reconstruction, or cultural suggestion. Believers see evidence of something ineffable, a consciousness that transcends time. Here, the narrative tension is palpable. The mind searches for patterns, the heart yearns for meaning, and the soul wonders if identity itself is boundless. Quantum physics and the multiverse further challenge the boundaries of certainty. Superposition, entanglement, and probabilistic universes suggest that multiple realities may coexist, that each decision might create branches of existence, that time itself may be nonlinear. If consciousness interacts with these structures, the implications are staggering. Life may loop, overlap, and resonate across parallel timelines. We do not claim these models prove reincarnation or eternal recurrence. Yet they expand the horizon of possibility, showing that even the most rigorous science accommodates wonder, ambiguity, and the unknowable. The contrast between mathematical precision and speculative imagination amplifies the awe. Contemplating life's broader dimensions as we weave together science, philosophy, and anecdotal experience, a pattern emerges. Human curiosity thrives at the edge of certainty. We are drawn to the mysterious, compelled to ask questions that defy definitive answers. Living with the possibility that this life has been lived before, or that consciousness persists beyond the visible world, is not a concession to superstition. It is an acknowledgement of the limits of knowledge, an invitation to wonder, and a celebration of the imagination. In this space, science and speculation do not oppose one another. They converse, illuminate, and expand our understanding. The ethical implications are profound. If lives recur, if consciousness flows beyond a single iteration of existence, what does this mean for how we live now? Do actions carry a weight we cannot fully measure, resonating through unseen timelines? Does compassion, empathy, and mindfulness gain new significance when viewed through the lens of continuity. Even if these ideas remain speculative, they provoke reflection. By contemplating the possibility, viewers are encouraged to approach life with intentionality, curiosity, and humility, recognizing that the ordinary may hold extraordinary depths. Cinematic storytelling allows us to inhabit these reflections. Picture a sunrise, repeated across countless mornings, each subtly different yet fundamentally the same. Imagine a human figure walking along a shoreline, footprints filling and fading as waves of time wash over them. Visualize memory as light weaving through neural networks, spiraling outward into cosmic patterns. In these sequences, abstract ideas take shape, giving emotional resonance to concepts that might otherwise feel intangible. The imagery bridges intellect and feeling, grounding speculation and experience, evoking awe while nurturing contemplation. Ancient wisdom continues to resonate. Myths, rituals, and sacred texts often encode subtle understandings of continuity, memory, and the cyclical nature of existence. While modern science may interpret these symbols metaphorically or psychologically, their persistent recurrence across cultures suggests a universal human intuition that life, memory, and consciousness may not be confined to a single linear path. The tension between ancient insight and contemporary evidence invites reflection, showing that human curiosity and wonder are timeless, transcending both culture and epoch. As we synthesize these ideas, the contrast between certainty and mystery becomes clear. Science offers measurable frameworks, philosophy supplies conceptual scaffolding, and anecdotal accounts provide emotional resonance. Yet none claim absolute answers. The truth may lie somewhere in the intersection of these domains, in the tension between what can be known and what can only be imagined. Living with this tension is itself transformative, encouraging a form of consciousness that is alert, reflective, and attuned to both the finite and infinite dimensions of life. Consider the personal impact. If every decision, memory, or intuition is a whisper from prior iterations, then life becomes a dialogue with the self across time. Moments of connection, insight, or déjà vu take on a deeper significance. Ordinary experiences, the touch of a loved one, the beauty of a landscape, the fleeting clarity of a thought become imbued with layers of meaning, reverberating through unseen loops of existence. The audience is invited to inhabit these reflections, to consider life not as a series of isolated events, but as an intricate, potentially recursive tapestry. The speculative horizon also encourages humility. We may not possess all the tools to measure consciousness fully, nor the language to describe its vast possibilities. Yet acknowledging these limits does not diminish experience. Rather, it enhances it. Curiosity becomes a virtue, a wonder, a form of intelligence, and reflection, a path to deeper awareness. In this way, living with the possibility of past lives, cyclical time, or overlapping realities is not an intellectual exercise alone. It is an existential practice, a way of inhabiting the world with openness and reverence. As the narrative draws to a close, the interplay between reality and imagination, science and philosophy, certainty and mystery remain central. We are reminded that human understanding is both finite and infinite, that our knowledge is shaped by observation, yet expanded by intuition, and that the act of questioning is itself transformative. The documentary does not offer answers, but cultivates awareness of memory, of choice, of the layers of existence that might extend beyond the visible. This lingering uncertainty is not a failure. It is the essence of wonder, the driver of curiosity, and the space in which imagination thrives. Cinematic sequences underscore this reflection. Imagine a city at dusk, lights flickering as shadows lengthen, each window a story, each life a narrative loop. Stars emerge in the night sky, mirroring the infinite possibilities of consciousness and existence. The camera lingers on human faces, capturing fleeting expressions of recognition, nostalgia, or insight. Visual metaphors of time folding, memories spiraling, and consciousness expanding reinforce the thematic core. Life may be more layered, more interconnected, and more profound than conventional perception suggests. Finally, the invitation to the viewer is clear: to live with curiosity, to embrace uncertainty, and to contemplate life's deeper dimensions. Whether past lives are literal, metaphorical, or merely imaginative constructs, their consideration enriches understanding, encourages reflection, and fosters empathy. By engaging with these ideas, we participate in a dialogue that spans science, philosophy, and existential inquiry, a dialogue as old as humanity itself. In doing so, we open ourselves to awe, wonder, and the profound possibility that life is not a singular event but a journey of consciousness across time, space, and perhaps beyond. In closing, the question remains: what would you do differently if you knew that you had already lived this life, or that consciousness persists in ways unseen? How might awareness, choice, and intention transform if every moment resonated across unseen loops? We may never know the definitive answer, yet the very act of asking reshapes perception. Science, philosophy, and ancient wisdom converge not to answer, but to illuminate, to evoke reflection, and to inspire awe. Life, in all its complexity, becomes simultaneously ordinary and extraordinary, a continuum of experience, choice, and mystery. Living with the possibility of recurrence, memory, and infinite consciousness is less about proof and more about perspective. It invites engagement, reflection, and introspection. It transforms mundane existence into an opportunity for wonder and uncertainty into a catalyst for thought. The audience leaves not with answers, but with questions that linger, resonate, and echo across the mind long after the screen fades to black. These questions are the gift of speculation, the intersection of science and imagination, and the doorway to a deeper engagement with life itself. Ultimately, the journey through neuroscience, quantum physics, ancient philosophy, case studies, debates, and speculative horizons culminates in one enduring insight: the mystery of existence is not a problem to solve, but a reality to inhabit. By contemplating the possibility that we have lived this life before, we expand our sense of self, deepen our appreciation for consciousness, and embrace the awe-inspiring uncertainty of the cosmos. In this space, science, philosophy, and wonder are not opposing forces. They are companions in the pursuit of meaning, curiosity, and understanding. And so, as the final images linger, a sunrise mirrored in infinite loops, shadows folding across cities, human faces reflecting awareness, viewers are left with a profound invitation to live consciously, to reflect deeply, and to wonder endlessly. Life, memory, and existence may be far more intricate, cyclical, and mysterious than we can imagine. Yet, in embracing the possibility, we encounter the extraordinary hidden within the ordinary, the infinite within the finite, and the timeless essence of consciousness itself.